Stand up and holler while you cuddle a koala, dress in a nightgown, and walk upside down.
This is Martha.
Well, matey, I've got news for you. Now, by our time, make a date with Sydney. That's a no-no. That's in Australia.
My blue ray won't come back. My blue ray won't come back.
AFVN Radio News watches the world for you and reports what it sees every hour on the hour. All you have to do is listen. Next news coming up on this station in just 23 minutes at 5 o'clock. Complete the afternoon. Now we ought to have a visit from Doom Rock. Then the next Doom Rock. Thursday afternoon, the sounds of million-dollar music. The True Hoy program is very vital. It serves an important mission, the encouragement of Viet Cong to come over to our side. Not only does this mean less resistance on the battlefield, but also yields important information about the enemy. It's been a very successful program. Many American lives have been saved by the continuing efforts of the True Hoy program. Here's it continues. Here's another happening. Thursday afternoon, and we start out with 5 in a row. That last one, Gary Puckett and the Union Gap from late 1967, a big hit for them, called Woman, Woman. We'll be right back after this driving reminder. Driving a vehicle can sometimes be compared to falling off a log. You get so used to it, it becomes natural. Cruising down the road as your mind wanders, you have to fall. Usually it's not actually on what you're doing at the moment. Its mind is insane, but when you have a potentially lethal weapon under your control, you may just daydream yourself into something. Thank you for that good word, Rick. I'm Specialist Rick Bednar, your host in town and country every night here on AFVN. It's 45 now after 3 o'clock. Let's drop back to 1959. It's the County Cross. From the news time now on a Thursday afternoon, 5 minutes of the latest world news coming up at 5 o'clock. So here's some good news. A second R&R has now been authorized for people extending from 90 to 180 days here in Vietnam. Eligibility for this second R&R begins after your tour extension's been approved and after you've gained seniority on the list to the place where you're headed. But remember, you must take your first R&R during your normal tours or you lose it. If you enjoyed your first R&R, why not take a second during your extension? This is Edwin Starr. He tells this Asian 00 show. This is million-dollar music for a Thursday afternoon. Marine Corporal John Rayrow is your host. It's 9.5 minutes away from news time. Coming up at 5 o'clock on this Thursday afternoon. We'll be right back. The sounds of the Buckingham is right after this. put in the paid place, a checking account. That way you withdraw your pay. This is AFVN tonight. We're experiencing network difficulties. Please stand by. Network difficulties have been corrected. We now have rejoined. This is the American Forces Broadband Network. Audio 85 and 99.9 FM. This is AFVN tonight. The tragedy of a traffic accident can last for a lifetime. Or worst of all, it can snuff out life. If you're the driver of the vehicle in Vietnam, it's your responsibility to see that a tragedy doesn't happen. So drive carefully and stay alert. That time on the new Audio 85 at the automatic cycling zone will be precisely 1600. News time from AFVN, News Central in Saigon. This is the American Forces Vietnam Network. Headlining the news at this hour, the U.S. plans ahead to the Red Planet and reports of hope from the French capital. Good afternoon, this is Army CFC. Headlining the news at this hour, the U.S. plans ahead to the Red Planet and reports of hope from the French capital. Good afternoon, this is Army CFC, Bruce Dan. AFVN, news on the hour. Compiled from major American networks, wires to the news, and the military sources. Now, complete details. The U.S. plans to send a double probe to the planet Mars in 1971 to find sites for the first unmanned landing 2 years later. Caltech's Jet Propulsion Laboratory at Pasadena said today that 2 Mariner spacecraft will circle the mysterious red planet for 3 months. The launch will be made in May when Mars is within 35 million miles of the Earth. The trip will take 6 months and orbit today by a 40-minute emergency meeting. Negotiator Avril Harriman and Saigon's top representative in Paris, Pham Dong Lam. After the meeting, an authoritative source said the U.S. still expects South Vietnam to take part. Earlier, the chiefs of staff of the NATO nations held a top-secret meeting in Brussels today, plotting new military strategy because of Czechoslovakia. As a result of the Soviet occupation of Czechoslovakia, NATO faces a complete reassessment of its defense strategy. Richard Nixon continues to plan for his new administration. Today in New York, Nixon's aide, Ron Ziegler, reported, the inaugural theme for the 1916 year, John and inaugural, will be bring us together. I think as the inaugural plans begin to evolve, there may be some changes in the previous inaugural. And Ziegler said that President-elect Nixon has appointed J. Willard Marriott, chairman of the board of Marriott Corporation of Washington, D.C., to serve as chairman of the 1969 inaugural committee. A Brooklyn grand jury indicted 3 men from Yemen on 4 counts each in connection with an assassination plot against President-elect Nixon. The men pleaded innocent to the charges and are being held until they can raise the reduced bail of $25,000 apiece. San Francisco State College was closed indefinitely today. Police and students had clashed on the campus, and the faculty voted to suspend classes. It was then that President Robert Smith announced the closure. The more than 1 week of violence and disruption was touched off by the dismissal of a member of the Black Panthers, who was an English instructor and a graduate student. An Air Force spokesman says that the U.S. may pay Lockheed Aircraft double the original contract estimate for 115 giant C-5A military cargo jets. A.E. Fitzgerald, an Air Force deputy, testified today before a House Senate committee. He said Lockheed's costs may increase 100% over first estimates on the original 58 planes. Committee Chairman Senator William Proxmire said this is really appalling. The Montreal Weather Bureau has warned citizens of Canada's largest city that snow flurries will continue through tomorrow. The city was hit by a blizzard today, a heavy remnant of the Atlantic storm that hit the east coast of the U.S. yesterday. More than 12 inches of snow fell today in Montreal, with strong winds quickly piling up drifts. Pope Paul says he is deeply concern because religious indifference has become fashionable, and some Christians even believe God is dead. In a speech in St. Peter's Basilica, the Pope reaffirmed that religion and communism can't be reconciled, although discussion is possible. The National Conference of Catholic Bishops took preliminary action today on a proposed letter dealing with birth control. The vote was so secret that the bishops themselves were not told the outcome. The pastoral letter deals with a Catholic couple's decision to use contraceptives despite a papal ban. The bishops are meeting in Washington. Mrs. Lyndon Johnson will make a 4-day, 6,000-mile cross-country trip next week. It will be her 6th and last major tour. She will emphasize advances in education, space, health, and urban renewal programs promoted by her husband, President Johnson. The First Lady will go to New Orleans, Cape Kennedy, Denver, and Eureka, California. And that's the news up to this hour. Compiled from major American networks, wire services, and military sources. I'm Army PSC Bruce Dad for AFVN Radio News. AFVN, broadcasting from Sligar. Gently, the ode to Billy Joe. The Army needs recruiters. Increasing emphasis on maximizing voluntary enlistment and stepped-up recruiting operations through the United States have increased the need for these vital men. Recruiters are assigned to the U.S. Army Recruiting Command on a voluntary basis rather than a detailed basis. Mature, experienced NCOs with a broad knowledge of the Army and the excellent career opportunities it offers are urgently needed. For more information, check with your unit personnel officer. Remember, applications must be submitted between 6 and 8 months prior to your deload. On a Thursday afternoon, we'll have another one of those $1 million double plays right after this. Being in Vietnam has its advantages, but being close to the world isn't one of them. Great distance makes it pretty tough for fast communication between you and the world. But that's where the Red Cross comes in. Should your family have an emergency, the fastest way to contact you is through their local Red Cross. Why not take some time and explain it all in a letter home? It might take some time now, but you'll be saving time in the long run. This is the first of 2 in a row on a Thursday afternoon. The sounds of Johnny Rivers from 1967 and Dalton Summer Rain. For that one, that's Connie Francis. So let's stick on your collar. Where you headed, buddy? Just up the road a few miles. Oops, sorry. Geez, what I have? Bad breath? I mean, what sort of an idiot would do a thing like that? What kind of guy would do that? Well, we're all on the same team. Regardless of whether it's a few yards or a few miles, give your buddy a lift. You never can tell. He might be from the same hometown. We get no music. What's the trouble? There we go. The music continues here on a Wednesday afternoon. Simply called Pollyanna, done by the Classics at 8 minutes away from me, time at 4 o'clock. As servicemen in Vietnam, we have a special reason for buying United States savings bonds and freedom shares. Indirectly, they help us protect freedom and ensure that America will remain strong and free. So we're helping ourselves in two ways, aren't we? Just think, if you'd invest a little of your don't-take-home pay for savings bonds, well, you'd get 4.5% when held to maturity, 5% on freedom shares. The savings is done for you, and the money's always there in case something comes up. Why not give it a whirl? Doesn't sound like a bad idea. Thank you very much, Mike. Army Specialist Mike Sherman, your host on Panorama every Saturday afternoon. Coming up at 4 o'clock here on a Thursday afternoon. You know, a lot of people see red every day. They calm down and soon forget. Well, seeing that type of red should be forgotten. But hold on, because there's another type of red. You see it on modification work orders. Urgent on top of that modification work order means the item is red or deadline. Urgent modification work orders are aimed at fixing those things that could fix your equipment for good, and possibly even you. When you see that type of red, don't forget it. Wow. 1965 style. This is Roger Miller. Awful pretty thing from about 10 years ago, done up by the Platters. It's called Harbor Lights. Did you ever stop to think about some of the services and recreational facilities most of us take for granted while in service? I'm talking about such things as libraries, bowling alleys, skiing rooms, and golf courses. Found at most military installations around the world. Special services, the group that makes home seem just a little bit closer. 10 minutes before news time now, coming up at 4 o'clock on this Thursday afternoon. See if you remember this one. It's done by a group that's called the Classics. You're on the AFVN home of Martin Morning with the Navy Petty Officer in college. Join Tim every morning, Monday through Friday, from 10 until 12 noon with Mod Morning. Coming up at 4 o'clock, we're going to drop back about 10 years right after this. It's mod, it's mad, it's Tokyo for R&R. From Ueno to Shinjuku, from Tokyo Tower to the resorts of Mito. It's a mod world of Tokyo calling you when R&R comes around. Take a trip non-stop from Saigon to the largest city in the world. Shop now for Christmas. Electronics, cameras, pearls, and silk. You'll go mad going mod in Tokyo where they say, let it all hang out. And where they say, it might well be the last words they say. Think about it. Is the war trophy worth it? 14 and a half minutes away from news time coming up at 5 o'clock, and the Mamas and Papas join us. Those Warriors of Love.
This is the American Forces Vietnam Network. This is Radio 54 AM, 99.9 FM, AFVN Saigon.
AFVN, the power
Are you getting short? Well, if you are, don't forget your whole baggage. If you pack your own shipment, you'll need 6 copies of your orders. If the whole baggage people pack it, you'll need 7 copies. And if you're making an inter-theater transfer, 11 copies. By the way, whole baggage sections in country are called personal property branches, but the mission is still the same.
At 0300 hours, a stiff charge of news censorship at AFVN.
AFVN News compiled from commercial and military news agencies with Army Specialist Jim Allingham.
Good morning. According to the Associated Press, a television newscaster on the American Forces Vietnam Network in Saigon charged over the air late last night that a broadcaster on the network, and we quote, is not free to tell the truth, unquote. The newscaster, 27-year-old Specialist 5 Robert Lawrence of Atlanta, Georgia, made the accusation at the end of his 11 p.m. broadcast. As a newsman, and we quote, Specialist Lawrence said, I am dedicated to giving the public the news and events worldwide and on the local level. I am pledged to tell the truth at all times, and I will always tell the truth either in the military or as a civilian. In the military in Vietnam, I have found that a newscaster at AFVN is not free to tell the truth and, in essence, to tell it like it is, unquote. Specialist Lawrence said the Military Assistance Command in Vietnam, the overseer of all American forces in the country, and we quote again, has seen to it that all those newscasters who are dedicated to their work are sent away to other areas, in some cases off the air completely, unquote. A spokesman said the U.S. command would have no immediate comment. He said the command was attempting to determine exactly what was said, and that a statement probably would be made later. That story from the Associated Press. An Army investigating team is poking through the hamlet at My Lai in Vietnam to see if Army officers covered up an alleged massacre of civilians by American troops. The team is led by Lieutenant General William Pierce and made a house-to-house search for evidence.
First half with the score, Los Angeles Rams 14, the Dallas Cowboys nothing.
This is the American Forces Vietnam Network. It's 4 minutes past 5 o'clock.
AFVN News compiled from commercial and military news agencies with Army Specialist Jim Allingham.
Good morning. Let's break a few moments here at halftime in our game between the Dallas Cowboys and the Los Angeles Rams to bring you up to date on some of the stories happening in today's news. According to the Associated Press, an American soldier broadcasting on the American Forces Vietnam Network has charged over the air in a newscast that he and others are not free to tell the truth. The 27-year-old newscaster, Specialist 5 Robert Lawrence of Atlanta, Georgia, said the Military Assistance Command has, in his words, seen to it that all those newscasters who are dedicated to their work are sent away to other areas, in some cases off the air completely. Lawrence said one soldier who charged there was censorship on the military network is now doing menial tasks in the record library on the FM station. That another broadcaster was sent up country and taken off the air completely. We have been suppressed, Lawrence said, and I'm probably in trouble for telling you the truth. A spokesman said the U.S. command would have no immediate comment, but a statement would probably be made later. That from the Associated Press. An Army investigating team headed by Lieutenant General William Pierce inspected the ruins of My Lai hamlet yesterday. The team is seeking information. Once again, recapping some of the stories highlighting today's news, an American soldier broadcasting on the American Forces Vietnam Network here in Saigon has charged over the air in a newscast that he and others are not free to tell the truth. The 27-year-old newscaster, Specialist 5 Bob Lawrence of Atlanta, Georgia, said the Military Assistance Command has, in his words, seen to it that all those newscasters who are dedicated to their work are sent away to other areas, in some cases off the air completely. A spokesman said the U.S. command would have no immediate comment, but that a statement would probably come later. And in Birmingham, Alabama, a Negro soldier killed in Vietnam last July is being reinterred in a previously all-white cemetery. PFC Bill Terry's mother and 16-year-old wife obtained a court order to bury him in a burial plot near his boyhood home. A brief service was planned for midday after the coffin, that is, was removed from the all-Negro Shadow Lawn Cemetery. We go back to the AFRTS Sports Department in Washington for more halftime commentary in the playoff bowl game between the Dallas Cowboys and the Los Angeles Rams, with the score Los Angeles 14, Dallas nothing.
Really of this year now.
A stiff charge of news censorship here in the Republic. A report from ABC newsman John Maher in New York.
An American GI newsman in Saigon says the news in Saigon is being censored. Specialist Robert Lawrence of Atlanta, Georgia, went on the air tonight, Saigon time, to say that the Armed Forces Network in Vietnam is not free to tell the truth. Lawrence cited 3 other GI newscasters in Vietnam whom he said had been downgraded for opposing news censorship. So far, no comment from the U.S. command in Saigon on Lawrence's charge of censorship.
That report from ABC newsman John Maher. Chief negotiator of the Paris peace talks, Ambassador Pham Dang Lam, left for Saigon today. It said he'll have a routine discussion with his government before returning to Paris in about 10 days. Vice President Agnew was in Thailand on the latest stop on his Asian tour. CBS News correspondent Bruce Morton reports from Bangkok.
Vice President Cyril Agnew arrived in Bangkok from Taipei today and did a number of things he has done before. He listened to 2 national anthems at the airport and reviewed a guard of honor there. Then he drove into town in a motorcade, though he must have missed the big crowds, the bands, the dragon dancers he had yesterday in Formosa. There was no real crowd this time, just interested stares from Saturday shoppers. Once arrived, Mr. and Mrs. Agnew and astronaut Eugene Cernan and his wife all went off to the palace to present some slivers of moon. This is the first time they've done that for a king and queen, their majesties Bhumibol and Sarakit. But the slivers of plastic enclosed moon and the little flag which went to the moon have become staples of this journey. That was all for today. Serious talks with this country's political leaders come tomorrow. Bruce Morton, CBS News, Bangkok.
A hijacked Brazilian jetliner, which was grounded in Lima, Peru for 27 hours with a dead battery, has now landed in Panama for refueling before flying on to Cuba. Peruvian officials had a new battery flown in so that the plane could take off. 28 others are aboard the hijacked plane. The hijackers say they will take the 2 children of a friend who is jailed in Brazil to Cuba and then return to Brazil. The 4 men and 1 woman kept 21 passengers and 7 crew members at bay with guns during the entire stopover in Peru. New action in the Middle East, a new Israeli raid into Lebanese territory. CBS newsman Gerald Miller reports from Tel Aviv.
An Israeli commando unit moved across the Lebanese border early this morning in a quick reprisal raid for the New Year's Day kidnapping of a Jewish watchman. Vietnam Radio in South Vietnam. We have heard this newscast by Jim Arlingham. According to the Associated Press, a television newscaster on the American Forces Vietnam Network in Saigon charged over the air late last night that a broadcaster on the network in report is not free to tell the truth, unquote. The newscaster, 27-year-old Specialist 5 Robert Lawrence of Atlanta, Georgia, made the accusation at the end of his 11 p.m. broadcast. As the newsman and report, Specialist Lawrence said, I am dedicated to giving the public the news and events worldwide and on the local level. I am pledged to tell the truth at all times, and I will always tell the truth either in the military or as a civilian. In the military in Vietnam, I have found that a newscaster at AFVN is not free to tell the truth and in essence to tell it like it is, unquote. Specialist Lawrence said the Military Assistance Command in Vietnam, the overseer of all American forces in the country, and report again, has seen to it that all of those newscasters who are dedicated to their work are sent away to other areas, in some cases off the air completely, unquote. A spokesman said the U.S. command would have no immediate comment. He said the command was attempting to determine exactly what was said, and that a statement probably would be made later. The night before that newscast, correspondent Frank Mariano talked with Lawrence shortly after Lawrence finished his blast. Bob, why did you do what you did tonight? Well, I've been here for 6 months in the news department, and I've seen the news being suppressed. I've seen it being censored from all levels in our department. I've been told by our officers use certain films and not use certain stories on the air. And I feel like that after the Mike Maxwell incident, if you're familiar with that he charged AFVN with censorship, that there was time to say something. MAC-V had an investigation of MAC-V, and they suggested we would be replaced by competent military personnel, which are the NCOs.
And did any one thing kick this thing off? You performed a coup tonight by doing this on the air. What was the reason for that?
Most recently, Rick Frederickson has been told that he was going up country. Rick is a very dedicated broadcaster, and I felt like that it was just too bad that he couldn't remain here. He only has 2.5 months in country, and they're sending him out to Entree Island for one of the detachments. And Rick and I work very close together. And the front office felt like that Rick and I have been working together late, and we're planning the news possibly. So this is, and then a week ago, Hugh Morgan was sent to one of our detachments, and he was told that he had made a statement concerning Vice President Agnew and introducing an Eric Severide commentary, and that he was going up country for that interview, and we know very well that he interviewed Barry Goldwater and asked Barry Goldwater how he felt about the war. And Barry Goldwater, of course, told it like it was. And the interview received unfavorable comments from McOI. And Captain Williams, who's our OIC, told me the other day that Hugh Morgan had left us because MAC-V had requested he be taken off the air. And he is off the air as a detachment he is at now.
Bob, are you telling it like it is? I mean, have you been telling it like it has been when you've been newscasting on AFVN here in Saigon?
I say I've tried to tell it like it is. I've been in hot water in and out of it for putting certain films on and for saying certain things that I didn't.
In your opinion, Bob, is there censorship going on at Armed Forces Vietnam Network here in Vietnam?
Well, I feel that when they tell you not to use particular items, that's censorship as far as I'm concerned.
As of now, Lawrence is under suspension from his job, along with Corporal Thomas Sinkovitz, a sportscaster, who allegedly went along with Lawrence's comments on the air. Lawrence is also now in hot water for allegedly refusing to obey a sergeant's order last December. Lawrence has decided to stand court-martial for that instead of accepting company punishment.
Has won the Pulitzer Prize in international reporting for his exposure of the alleged My Lai massacre. I'm Army Sergeant Bill Clark, and that's AFVN News to this hour.
AFVN News, compiled from commercial and military news agencies.
Special.
That's in Australia.
My boomerang won't come back. My boomerang will come
news every hour on the hour. All you have to do is listen.
Next news coming up on this station in just 23 minutes at 5 o'clock. Complete the afternoon. Now we ought to have a visit from Dean Martin. He's in the Mr. Dean line. Thursday afternoon, the sounds of million-dollar music. The Chew Hoy program is very vital. It serves an important mission, the encouragement of Viet Cong to come over to our side. Not only does this mean less resistance on the battlefield, but also yields important information about the enemy. It's been a very successful program. Many American lives have been saved by the continuing efforts of the Chew Hoy program. Here's it continues. Here's what's happening. Thursday afternoon, and we start out with 5 in a row. That last one, Gary Puckett and the Union Gap from late 1967, a big hit for them, called Woman, Woman. We'll be right back after this driving reminder.
Driving a vehicle can sometimes be compared to falling off a log. You get so used to it, it becomes natural. Moving down the road as your mind wanders, it's not the fault of your wife or girl at all. Usually, it's not actually on what you're doing at the moment. The mind is increasing, but when you have a potentially lethal weapon under your control, you may just daydream yourself into trouble.
Thank you for that good word, Rick. Army Specialist Rick Bednar, your host in town and country every night here on AFVN. It's 45 now after 3 o'clock. Let's drop back to 1959. This is Johnny Clinton. Away from the news time now on a Thursday afternoon. 5 minutes of the latest world news coming up at 5 o'clock. So here's some good news. A second R&R has now been authorized for people extending from 90 to 180 days here in Vietnam. Eligibility for this second R&R begins after your tour extension's been approved and after you've gained seniority on the list to the place where you're headed. But remember, you must take your first R&R during your normal tour or you lose it. If you enjoyed your first R&R, why not take a second during your extension? This is Edwin Starr. He calls this Agent 00 Soul. $1 million music for a Thursday afternoon. Marine Corporal John Ray, your host. It's 9.5 minutes away from news time. Coming up at 5 o'clock on this Thursday afternoon. We'll be right back. The sounds of the Buckingham is right after this. So there you are. You're out in the boonies. You just received your hard-earned lunch pay. Now what do you do with it? Well, even out in the boonies, you can make arrangements to have your pay put in a safe place. A checking account. That way you withdraw your pay. This is Radio Free on tonight. We're experiencing network difficulties. Please stand by. Network difficulties have been corrected. We now rejoin the American Forces Broadband Network. Audio 85 and 99.9 FM. This is AFVN tonight. The tragedy of a traffic accident can last for a lifetime. Or worst of all, it can snuff out life. If you're the driver of a vehicle in Vietnam, it's your responsibility to see that a tragedy doesn't happen. So drive carefully and stay alert. Wet time on the new Audio 85 at the automatic cycling zone will be precisely 1600. News time from AFVN, News Central in Saigon. This is the American Forces Vietnam Network. Headlining the news at this hour, the U.S. plans ahead to the Red Planet and reports of hope from the French capital. Good afternoon, this is Army CFC.